everyone. Today's chess puzzle. Let's visualize the board together. Okay, so white's queen is on b5. We've got pawns on e5, a3, and g3. White's bishops are sitting on d2 and e2, king's on f2, and there's a rook on d1. Okay, now for black. The king is on f8, rook on g8, pawn on f7, bishop on d5, another pawn on f5, the queen's way over on a2, and a rook on c2. Phew. All right, let's get this going.
Right, looking at this position, the immediate thing that kind of jumps out is the queens, right? They're staring each other down, but from opposite sides of the board, b5 and a2. White's queen on b5 seems like it has a lot of potential reach, but black's queen on a2 isn't just sitting there. It's definitely eyeing white's back rank, which looks a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, you've got that white queen with all that scope, and then black's queen making its presence felt right away. It's quite tense. What do you make of white's options here? It feels like something needs to happen, like to break this tension.
Indeed. And, well, look at white's bishops on d2 and e2. They could be powerful, but right now they're sort of hemmed in by white's own pawns, aren't they? So that suggests white might want to think about moves that activate these bishops, or maybe simplify things in a way that benefits their pieces that are already doing more.
Okay, makes sense. So let's see the first move. White plays queen from b5 to d5. Wow, okay. That's a direct offer of a queen trade right in the center. What's the thinking behind that? Seems bold.
Well, it could be a few things. Maybe white wants to reduce the immediate tactical fireworks. Trading queens often simplifies things. And perhaps they think they'll do better in the resulting middle game, where maybe their other pieces, like that rook on the d-file eventually, might become more influential. It shifts the focus.
I see. And black responds. Queen from a2 takes d5. So black accepts the trade. No more queens on the board now. What happens next?
Okay, so queens are off. Now white plays bishop from d2 to h6. That's an interesting move. What's the immediate impact you see there?
Well, that bishop on h6 is suddenly, really active, isn't it? It's attacking the rook on g8, though it's defended, but it definitely limits where the black king can go. It feels like white is trying to stir things up on the king side immediately.
Exactly. Even though the g8 rook defends itself, that bishop on h6 controls some really key squares near the black king, and it creates this potential threat along that diagonal, h6 down towards e3, pressure.
Right. Okay, so black unspuns. King moves from f8 to e7, getting out of that line of fire from the bishop and finding perhaps a slightly safer square.
Yeah, that's a very logical response, I think. Black is reacting directly to the threat white just created with the bishop, trying to improve the king's position, make it a bit safer now that the queens are off.
Makes sense. And the final move in this sequence is rook from d1 to d5. Now that seems significant. With the queens gone, that d-file is wide open, and putting the rook right there.
Absolutely, that's a key moment. The d-file opened up completely after the queen trade, didn't it? So the rook landing on d5 occupies this really powerful central square. And look, it also puts immediate pressure on black's bishop, which is also on d5. So even without a checkmate, white's gained something.
Right. Okay, so the d-file is controlled by white's rook. It's right in the center, and it's directly attacking black's bishop. So let's recap the sequence. White queen to d5, black queen takes on d5, then white bishop to h6, black king moves to e7, and finally white rook lands on d5. What's the key takeaway here? It's not checkmate, but what has white achieved?
Well, the main point, I think, is that white managed the simplification well. They exchanged queens, which maybe suited them. Then they activated that bishop from d2, putting it on a really aggressive square, h6, creating an immediate threat. And then, crucially, they seized the open d-file with their rook, placing it on a strong central outpost, d5. This gives white a clear positional advantage, better piece activity, more space, and direct pressure.
There you go. The sequence played out is white queen to d5. Black queen takes white queen on d5. White bishop to h6. Black king to e7. White rook to d5.
Yeah, and it just illustrates how sometimes a sequence isn't about the immediate kill, the checkmate. It's about improving your position piece by piece, controlling key areas, and limiting what your opponent can do. That's often how games are won.
Thank you for listening.